Hey everyone, and welcome to the first Inside Games event brought to you by the BAFTAs. Today we'll be looking at some of the biggest and latest games. Hi, so could you introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a bit about your background as a concept artist?
My name's John McCambridge, and I work for Jagex as a senior concept artist, developing creatures, environments, monsters, and props. I've been working in the company 3 years, and previously I've been in different video game companies where I've worked both in France and in Poland on different franchises for the industry.
Okay, so could you summarize about the showcase that you're helping with today?
Well, I'm here to present the process we go through as a concept artist from the very early stages of sketching right up to the finalized rendered version, which we would give on to a 3D artist who would make that into a character who would then be animated and integrated into the game.
Are there any difficulties that you find while working as a concept artist?
Constantly, you have to renew your inspiration so you find cool ideas, and when you run out of ideas you're going, right, what am I going to do here? How many dwarves, how many elves, how many these things you've seen a million times, has come up with a new angle, come up with something that makes it Runescape style, because out there you've got Lord of the Rings, you've got Skyrim, where these things have been done before, and you have to try and produce something that evokes elf or dwarf or goblin, but has an identity that fits into our game. So yes, it's a challenge, and it's something that we face every day when we draw.
So could you explain the piece that you have been working on today?
Right. I've only actually got to the sketch stage because I've been busy all day talking about how to do it. But one of the things that I'm doing here is a character in RuneScape, Durok. It's a demon type of enemy character. It's pretty old. He's been in the game a few years now. And I re-looked him about 6-7 months ago and give him today's standards of graphic quality, because in the past we didn't have the number of facets, it's like the number of polygons to make up the character, and nowadays we can do things and push the shapes of the character to be more expressive and add in texture and just make it visually more interesting. So that's a rework, and this is a modern day version of an old character that's been in the game for years.
Okay, and do you have any advice that you would give to aspiring game developers or wannabe artists for games?
I would say the hardest thing is breaking into the industry. When you're young and you're out there with your portfolio, you don't have a lot of contacts. Work very hard, get your stuff up online on sites like CG Talk, CG Hub, to people see your work, that an art director, when he looks at your work, he can see that you're pushing yourself to today's standard. Make sure you're aware of what's today's standard, and make contacts with people in the industry. Try and get internships, try and get your first job. Don't be afraid to take criticism, because it takes a lot of knocking on doors before somebody will say yes. Take the feedback on, and then when the feedback, try and develop and push yourself to go forward, looking at maybe where other people have been successful and what have they done to get there. How can you apply that to yourself?
Okay, well, thank you very much. That's all I've got for you today, and thanks for taking the time out to speak to us.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, I hope you enjoy your stay here and see many different things that bring interest and pleasure to people, right? Okay.
Thank you. Hi, so could you introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a bit about your background with Sony?
Yeah, so absolutely. So my name's Leigh Baker. I work for a team basically for PlayStation, but we actually have an independent team called Team PlayStation. So I'm actually a brand ambassador that covers Central London. So we do kind of a wide variations of things, I guess, in a way. So going into retail, we obviously do stuff like events like this, so stuff like Eurogamer, knowledge, training, locking events. So pretty much we're the eyes and ears, I guess, of PlayStation. So everything you guys say, we take on board, and then we send that back directly then to head office.
Okay, cool. Could you summarise what the showcase is all about today and the games that you've got on show for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've actually got, or I guess what we're doing, is really kind of showcasing off the best of our PlayStation family. So obviously we've got PS4 here, we've got PS3 here, and obviously PlayStation Vita here. And some of the games you actually see here today generally are obviously up for a nomination. So Last of Us has over 10, which is phenomenal, and we're really proud of what Naughty Dog's obviously done with that. Stuff obviously like Tearaway as well, Beyond, obviously the list goes on and on. But also it's the first time obviously we've got stuff like Infamous Second Son being shown, so again it gives guys like yourselves a great opportunity to see it, and also really ourselves being on hand to help out with knowledge, awareness, you know, what you guys like, and kind of get into the nitty-gritty of it all, and just kind of seeing your excitement for the products.
Okay, that's great. Do you know of any of the difficulties that have been faced during the development of these games that are on Showcase?
I mean, you're always going to have challenges. It could be, stuff like how long the game takes, the quality, Beyond, for example, which obviously is behind us. The motion capture of that was phenomenal, and you can imagine the time, the effort, how many takes Ellen Page and William Dafoe would have had to have done. But the biggest satisfaction, I guess, of all of it is just seeing people playing it, talking about it, the experiences of the game. And that really kind of pulls through. I mean, to give you an idea, I probably had 3 hours sleep. And I'm standing here talking to you guys, buzzing away, because that's how much it means to us to showcase that to you guys.
It's amazing work. Do you have any advice that you would give to any aspiring game developers?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been quite passionate about getting people into the industry, because obviously it was one of those ones that unless someone gave me the opportunity, I never would be standing here right now talking to sales or demonstrating obviously at the BAFTAs and everything like that. So I always say, find what you want to go for and always pursue it. So if you want to do gaming development, then obviously speak to companies about apprenticeships, speak to companies that do games testing, because yes, it may be a way that you may do a couple of months, but it's always that experience, and you get to learn stuff that you can then always carry on. Myself, I was from a sales perspective, so I started at Game, and obviously other retailers are available, and worked really my way up, and then I actually got approached and then used my passion. And I think that's the key thing, it's passion for the games industry, because it's all great someone saying I'll do anything for gaming, but really, is that true? Because people that want to be in the industry know exactly what they want to do. So my advice to everyone generally is find what you like, really pursue it, even if your mum and dad nag you saying you're not going to be able to do it, because in the end it will always come through.
That's some really good advice there. Thank you for speaking to us today, and thanks for your time. So could you introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a bit about your background with RuneScape?
So my name is Mark Ogilvie, and I'm the design director for RuneScape. I've worked at Jagex for about 11 years, and I've been the lead designer or design director for about 7 of those years. My background, I've always been involved with the games industry, although RuneScape was the first computer game that I worked on. Previously, I worked for Dungeons and Dragons on traditional tabletop role-playing games, and also been involved with medieval themed taverns and event organisation, so sort of taking corporate people out into an island and teaching them to survive for a weekend, that kind of stuff.
Okay, could you discuss any of the difficulties that you've faced while working on the current RuneScape?
I'd never say we experience difficulties, it's always challenges, and I think it's up to us to decide how we deal with those challenges. Some of the unique issues that RuneScape has is our veteran player base. Over 50% of our players have been playing the game for over 6 years, like 6 years playing one game, and when people have played a game for such a long time, they have expectations about how things should work. Players see bugs as features. They play the game in a certain way. And obviously RuneScape's got such a rich history, but elements of the game are really, really old. So a challenge that we constantly have is wanting to update and refresh the game and make it more appealing to a modern day gamer, but at the same time making sure we look after the game as our players know and love it. And that's always the main challenge that we face, I think.
Okay, could you share any future implementations that are planned for RuneScape?
So this month we got a fantastic quest that's just about to come up. It's about Zaros, who is a god who's has always been talked about in the game, but was kind of kicked out of the game, if you like, by a young usurping god called Zamorak. And we've been talking about the storyline for an incredibly long time, but later on this month there'll be a quest where he has the opportunity to come back into the game, and the player kind of forms his shell, if you like. And they do a lot of cool questing in a place called Runescape, which is an old, ancient area of the game which the players have always wanted to get to, and also operates something called the World Gate, which looks a bit like the gate from Stargate, I won't lie about it, but it is a portal into other worlds, and it opens up all sorts of opportunities for us in the future. And we're also working on something really cool called Legacy Mode, which is a really old version of our combat system. So that'll be quite cool as well.
Okay, that's great, thank you. Do you have any advice that you could give to aspiring game developers?
So the best advice, or the advice I always give to people, you can decide if it's the best advice or not, is get yourself noticed. There's so many games design courses that are out there in the world now, and different courses that allow you to specialise in aspects of games design or games development. There's a lot of people with those kind of qualifications which are knocking on my door every single day. The people that I really look at are the people who've made games and have put their games out there to be judged by a wider community. So when you're like releasing games on sites like Congregate or something like that, when you've got a game and you can be seen to modify it based on community feedback, and also when you're making a game for something rather than just your own enjoyment, it's when, you know, when people can show me something that they've done, that's when I really listen. So that's the best, or that's the main piece of advice I always give to new upcoming students.
Okay, thank you for your time. Thanks for speaking to us today.
No worries at all. Enjoy the event.